Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for October 8th. Okay, so first of all, for all of my Canadian subscribers and viewers, it is Thanksgiving weekend this weekend. So officially, Thanksgiving will be this Monday, but I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And heaven knows we have much to be thankful for. Frankly, whether you're in Canada or anywhere else, God Almighty, things can always get worse. So let's be grateful for what we do have, shall we? Okay. Cash Peters, thank you so much for giving me that shout out. It was lovely and really appreciated. For those of you who have checked out the In-Death series, thank you very much. It's on the Soulprint Insights channel. Part 3 was released on Wednesday. So if you're interested in that, please take a look. I just got a message from Andre of Astrology Alerts. So I'm delighted that some of you let him know that I had given him a shout out, and he has responded in kind. So thank you for that. Okay. So final housekeeping note. I am going to be taking next week off. I'm just a little tired. You know, it feels like my life has been incredibly busy since, like, I don't know, January. And I'm just going to take some downtime. It's going to be our first holiday without my mom. So we're all just going to kind of be a little zen. The Pick Your Crystal readings are going to be released on Sunday morning, just like they always are. And you know that if something really crazy goes on, I will hop back on and get a video out right away. But I'm just going to take some downtime. Okay, so I want to take a look. This is going to be kind of one of those, 3 or 4 topic mini reads today. I want to take a look at Matt Gaetz because, of course, he's out there now saying, "Oh, I regret my affiliation or my friendship with Greenberg, but I didn't do anything wrong." I want to take a look at some of the maneuvering that is going on between Schumer and McConnell. And I think I want to take a quick peek at sort of some of the stuff they're trying to get through the Senate. Okay. Now I have my pendulum here, so we're going to ask a couple questions first, because that's always a good way to sort of just, get a feel for stuff. So here we go. Here's my back and forth little pendulum, telling me that it is ready to talk by that side-to-side motion. Is Build Back Better in one sort of form or another going to get passed? Okay, yes. And I do believe I've said this before, that I think it will. Let's just double check. Is that package going to get passed somewhere between 2 and 2.5 billion? Is that sort of going to end up being the price tag? Yes. Okay. So there was this whole nonsense this week about the debt ceiling, and this morning, I haven't watched the news in the last few hours, so I don't know, but this morning I understood that Schumer had announced that, they had sort of come to some agreement, and it was going to be basically postponed until December. So broadly speaking, when it comes to these kinds of political maneuverings, are the Democrats going to come out like ahead? Okay, so that's a yes. So there's all this wrangling back and forth, but it definitely feels as if, ultimately they're going to be able to get done what they need to get done. Mitch McConnell is not, frankly, foolish enough to let a global catastrophic financial collapse happen, because it would not just impact these states, it would affect everybody. And he likes to threaten, but he's not going to do it. I mean, just logically, he's not going to do it. Okay, are we likely to see indictments coming down for the Trump family, and I'm going to give it sort of a broad sweep between like now and maybe the end of 2022, because we know this is going to take time. But are there going to be family indictments coming down before the end of next year? And that's a great, big, very enthusiastic yes. So let's hang on to that one, shall we? Are the voting rights bills or some combination of the two of them, is that going to end up getting passed before the 2022 election? Is that going to be able to be in place to block some of, blocking some of the voter suppression? So that's a big yes also. I also noticed that a federal judge yesterday banned the ban on abortions in Texas. So is that, that's going to continue to be sort of a little bit of an ongoing fight, I think. But broadly speaking, I know that this year the Supreme Court has, I think it's out of Minnesota, but I could be wrong. But there's another case coming up to the Supreme Court. And this one, apparently, something about the way it's written could potentially it's going to try to ban abortions like across the country. Is that going to end up like happening? So no. So despite the fact apparently that it's a very Republican-leaning Supreme Court, it looks like that's sort of maybe going to come under control, and some of the hysteria will, if not stop, at least slow down. All right, let's take a look at Matt Gaetz. Come on down. I have a question. Okay, so I think, well, okay. All right, well, so let's just see. So we've got, so these aren't great cards that came flying out. You've got the Queen of Pentacles. You've got the Three of Swords. You've got the Eight of Swords and the Ten of Swords. So maybe this isn't going to be all that easy for him to wiggle out of. Let's just take a look at what's going on with Matt Gaetz, shall we? More information is coming out. Apparently this morning, the committee, one of the committees released a detailed report on all the stuff that Trump tried to do to turn over the election, all of the finagling that was trying to get accomplished with the Justice Department. So, again, you got a situation there where the heat just gets getting turned up on him. And one of these times it's gonna boil him. I just literally got a picture of a lobster in a pot. Okay. So let's talk about Matt Gaetz, shall we? Matt Gaetz legal charges. Matt Gaetz legal charges. Matt Gaetz legal charges. And I know, he has a lot of pull. He's got, friends in high places. He's got some powerful friends, including a daddy. So, how much of this is he going to be able to sort of skirt or skate away from? And how much not? So let's see what we can find out. Okay. So this is kind of the thing right now. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. And frankly, it feels like there's a lot going on behind the scenes that Matt Gaetz and his lawyers don't know about because, of course, things are still being investigated. So in some ways, it's sort of a little hard for them to kind of, put it all together, right? Figure out where they are, assess what the situation is, because they don't have all the information yet. So in some ways, it's sort of like, I don't know. It's like they don't know yet what they're dealing with, and so they don't really know exactly how to respond, which is how come there's a lot of no comments and I have nothing to say. Or when he finally did do an interview just recently, it was all about how I'm really sorry I was friends with him, but I didn't do anything wrong, of course. It feels like there's going to be some negotiating going on, some just there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and I'm not getting a really great feeling from it. But the bottom line here is that his bad acts, his bad behavior. I mean, he can't write this off as, the behavior of a foolish teenager, okay? And so this is going to come, not only is it kind of going to come back and haunt him, but I actually have a feeling that it really is going to impact in a rather negative way his career, his political career going forward. Now, it's been said that Matt Gaetz really isn't interested in politics as much as he was interested in getting a name for himself so that, Fox News would hire him, okay? And I don't know, that may still very well be his strategy, but it definitely looks like this is going to be hard for him to crawl out from under, okay? He's going to have to do some tap dancing, but make no mistake, listen, he's going to have some really powerful lawyers. There's going to be money thrown at this situation so that, he's not going to be having like the equivalent of Donald Trump's lawyers, okay? There's not going to be a Giuliani in his defense team. So there's kind of that, but what's really interesting is energetically, I'm picking up the fact that, there's going to be more exposure, and it feels as if, so you have the exposure, you have judgment, but it actually, I'm starting to get a feeling like this is bigger and deeper and uglier than any of us know right now. And so I have a feeling that it really is going to take a little bit of time because the investigation is going forward, but there's more people that are being caught up in the net, if you will. And as I'm looking at the energy right now, it really does feel like I almost want to say that when it comes out, there's just going to be a massive amount of stuff that comes out, not about just one person, but about several people who were involved. And there's kind of almost going to be like an abundance, if you will, of information. So there's going to be a lot, but it's not yet. It's not just yet. It feels like for right now, certainly legally, things are being played very close to the vest. There's not a lot leaking, and the people who are investigating those goings on are going to continue to investigate. They're going to continue to put everything in order, in place. But it feels like when it comes out, it's going to come out in a not very pleasant way. And ultimately, the strength of their case against whomever all of these people are is actually going to bring some of them down. Some of it was just literally plain foolishness, like stupidity, like dumb actions, things that they just were so arrogant they thought they never would get caught at. And so, but this feels I have to tell you, I mean, I've looked into this situation before, and all of a sudden it really starts to feel muddy, like really muddy. It's almost as if there's some names that are going to start or are going to get tossed into the mix or that are now being investigated. I don't know. I'm sorry. This feels a little scattered to me, but it just feels like way uglier somehow than it already was with him. So I think at this point, it very much feels like he's going to end up in legal trouble. It's going to be a matter of, honestly, it feels sort of like whether or not he can wiggle his way out of it. But certainly the prosecutors are going to do everything they can to ensure that that is not a possibility. But there's a lot of money and a lot of power behind him. The thing is, though, that when you're dealing with a whole bunch of people with a lot of money and a lot of power, man, when that thing crashes to the ground, it's really, really going to crash to the ground. So I don't see anything happening really quick. Probably, I want to say, maybe like way at the end of the year, probably early in 2022. But it feels as if, I don't know, I'm going to have to revisit this because it feels a lot more complicated or layered than it did the last time I checked into this. So that's going to be interesting. But it feels as if it's not one person taking the fall, but it feels like many people are going to take the fall over this. So there's that. Take a look at how Chuck Schumer is doing. You know, sometimes you kind of get the feeling that he really, I don't know, that he's just not really quite up to the level of a Mitch McConnell, in part because he doesn't have that real ruthless streak, in part because I think he has a moral compass. Good Lord, these cards. Because he has a moral compass, where at this point, truly, McConnell is simply about power for the sake of power. He doesn't care. He does not care if the whole country burns down. And I think that's something that, the Democrats are going to start having to like wrap their head around a little bit, because the way it is now, they don't care. They have to understand that the Republicans do not care. The Republicans will torch the country. Simply, because again, you always got to remember, man, the GOP, they're like a cornered animal, okay? They're a dying breed. And so, they've really got that fighter instinct going, and look at what just flew out, okay? So you've got the 10 of Pentacles. It's about money for them. It's about status. It's about power. And they don't really care who they have to squash on the way. It is all about, keeping their assets safe, keeping their donors safe, keeping stuff, for the elite. All right? So let's just take a look at Schumer. How is Chuck Schumer doing? Know that I've ever actually specifically read on him before, so let's take a look. Chuck Schumer, negotiation Senate. Chuck Schumer, negotiation Senate. Chuck Schumer, negotiation Senate. Quite sure why that turned into a tongue twister, but there you have it. Here we go. What do we have? Okay, well, so this is good. He's starting off with the 9 of Cups. You can't complain about that. He's got the Knight of Swords. He's got the Ace of Swords. He's got 2 of Pentacles. Okay, so this is actually very promising. He's got the Magician. He's got the Knight of Pentacles. And the 8 of Cups. All right, so this is interesting, because what this is talking about is the fact that there's actually, he's getting a lot of very, very good advice. He is actually a little bit more savvy than I gave him credit for. It feels like part of his persona is actually something that lulls people into not seeing him quite as clearly. And so they tend to think that he's not quite sharp. But apparently he, in fact, is very sharp. And it looks like he's got some really powerful energy that's going to come into play for him over the next few months. In some ways, it almost feels as if, even when it looks like he's taken a misstep, in some way, it really hasn't been a misstep. He has lovely, lovely cards here. So he is on a path. He is marching forward. It is about the law, and it is about getting resources where resources need to go. Bottom line, it is about creating laws. It is about cementing things so that they can't be, undone. Right? He wants things set into concrete. He wants things put into law, as opposed to other things. One of the things I think that really freaked out the Democrats with the Trump years was exactly how flimsy some of those guardrails were, and how if you just chose to not follow tradition or follow the policy, which is not a law but a policy, how fast things could really, really deteriorate. And listen, make no mistake, the United States and its democracy is in the fight of its life, because over the last few months, it has the sort of lower vibrational, the greediness, the corruption has really, really been growing very quietly, or maybe not so quietly, behind the scenes. But it doesn't look as if this is going unnoticed by people who should be noticing it. But definitely, it's going to take some strategy. It's going to take some real political savvy to start getting this stuff done in a way that not only protects but promotes the Biden agenda. But it definitely looks as if that is the goal, that is the aim, and that is the direction they're moving in right now. The Eight of Cups is interesting because it feels a little bit like, almost like they're going to leave some traditions behind in order to get what they want done. So it makes me wonder about the filibuster. It just feels as if some of the stuff that the Republicans got away with under Trump. This is the thing about the Democrats. They never want to quite stoop that low, because then, frankly, then they're the same as. But it feels like some of the stuff that was damaged by the Trump administration ultimately may end up somehow working in their favor. I'm not quite sure what that's about. But it definitely looks like there is a lot going on. Emotionally, people are a little stressed. They're a little strained. But there is a quiet sense of optimism here. There is a sense that he is absolutely going to rise to the occasion. He's got the Strength card coming up. He's got beautiful cards here, right? He's got the Nine of Cups. He's got the Magician. He's got Strength. He's got the Ace of Swords. So it really does feel like he is actually moving forward on a path that perhaps is a lot more strategic, I guess, than I thought it was, or that it looks like it is at the moment. Okay. There is a lot of pushback happening lately about the January 6th insurrection. And I know there's been at least one judge, and there may be more, who have kind of questioned, like, why these people aren't being charged with bigger offenses, if you will, or, why the prosecution seems to be so lenient with what they're asking for in terms of, punishment. So let's take a look at the January 6th Select Committee. See what's going on there. So interesting, right? You've got the Moon, things that are hidden, and death, which is about, an ending of one kind of situation, the beginning of another one. So that's a good thing. Stuff is going to stop being so well hidden. Stuff is going to come out. Okay. January 6th Select Committee, January 6th Select Committee, January 6th Select Committee. Okay, so the Emperor sits on the bottom. Didn't want to come. Let's see what else is there. We've got the Nine of Swords. We have the Two of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, Chariot, Ten of Swords, and the Four of Wands. All right. So what you have here is you're going to be witnessing over the next little while, you're going to be witnessing some real power struggles, some real tugs of war. You've got these people who are supposed to, in fact, I think today they were supposed to submit all of their documentations, that gang of four, Trump's amigos there, Bannon and Meadows and whoever the other two were. Apparently, from what I understood, they were planning on defying that. The reality is, though, that it's not going to work for them. They are not going to be treated with kid gloves, not by a long shot. This is not going to be a kangaroo court, if you will. They are going to be exposed, and you know what, I wouldn't be at all surprised if somebody or another doesn't end up in jail for refusing to comply. So that's going to be interesting. And I have to tell you, the committee itself is really represented by the Emperor and the Chariot. So it is talking about strength and focus and moving forward and moving forward and moving forward. And honestly, the 9 and the 10 of swords here are really a warning that says, you know what, listen, you're just not going to actually get away with it. We need answers. What we're hearing so far is terrifying. It's horrifying that this was what was going on. And we need to stop. And I have to tell you, energetically, Steve Bannon is like digging a hole for himself that I'm not actually sure he's going to be able to get out. Because this hole, I can't remember what he called, shock troops, I think it was. You know, smart people don't announce when they're about to blow up something. But that's what he's doing. He's bragging about it. He can't keep quiet. He can't, his ego, I guess, must be fed. I'm not sure what that is about. But honestly, the more he advertises what he's doing, the more ammunition he is putting out there for those who are going to push back against that. And he may think it's a clever strategy because maybe he thinks it's keeping the Democrats sort of off balance a little bit. But I digress. But anyways, I really think for Steve Bannon, he's actually going to be causing trouble he's too arrogant by far. And because Trump pardoned him, he really thinks that he's just, his poop don't smell. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to find out that, maybe it does kind of a little bit. And so I don't see things going well for him. And I feel that this committee is going to get tougher and tougher and tougher. They are not going to back down. And they are going to push hard to get the information they want. And they're going to push hard to bring this thing to conclusion. The committee's goal is to strengthen the government, to strengthen the guardrails. It's not only to expose what happened, but it is to figure out, more importantly, honestly, to figure out how to prevent it from ever happening again. Because it's not enough to understand why. It's just not. They have to understand why so they can figure out how to block that from ever happening again. The why is the interesting stuff. It's sort of the scandalous stuff, right? It's, well, who was talking to who and who phoned who and what did Trump say about that, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes right down to it, that really is part A. Part B is trying to figure it out and ensure that it does not happen again, that those guardrails hold. And with every day that passes and the GOP become more evil, there's just not another word for it. And those who watch this channel know it's not a word I swing around very often. But they are becoming more corrupt, more greedy. They're pushing and they're pushing and they're pushing because literally they are unharnessed. Nobody can stop them right now. But as that behavior becomes amplified within the GOP, it becomes then incumbent on the Democrats and a few rational Republicans to ensure that there is not a repeat performance. Because make no mistake, right now, that is exactly what they're looking to do, what the GOP is looking to do. They want to weaken everything, literally, so they can just march right in and take over. There's a lot of money going on. There's a lot of money behind the scenes. And interestingly, they're going to be investigating money connections. It really is going to be one of those follow the money again. Who financed what? Who paid for what? Who's responsible for what? So that's just going to be really kind of curious. It's a heavy load they're carrying, but you know what? They are absolutely determined to get to the end of it. And they want to bring this down. They want to create a tower moment for the GOP and for the insurrectionists. And ultimately, it's going to be really, really hard, but I think that they're going to be able to accomplish what it is they're going to be able to accomplish. And it definitely looks like we're going to be hearing more and more about it. And it almost feels like the more we hear about it, frankly, the worse it's going to get for the GOP. Because again, I repeat, there's a small percentage, 20%, whatever it is, who are hardline Trumpers, okay? The rest are kind of misinformed. The rest are kind of confused. The rest maybe aren't paying attention. But it's not as, I've said this before, 80% of Republicans who believe something sounds really terrifying until you realize that there are so many fewer Republicans now than there were 5 years ago. Because they're going independent or they're going Democrat, but they sure as heck are not staying with the Republican Party. So the bottom line is, and that's part of what has the Republicans so scared, right, is they don't have the numbers, and they're starting to recognize they don't have the numbers. And I think the other thing that they're starting to recognize, frankly, is that Trump will burn it down because he's all about revenge, end of statement. And they'll burn it down because they're all about greed and corruption. What they didn't factor in was that Trump would be vengeful or retaliate against them. Not to the degree. I mean, they knew, if you said something wrong and he didn't like you, he tried to put in a challenger. He said rude things about you on Twitter or wherever. But I think that some of the links that he is going to now, suggesting that Georgia should elect Stacey Abrams for governor if she runs for that. I mean, I think they should too, okay? But I don't think Trump and I sort of are coming from the same place on that. But it's like I don't think that some of those people actually realized that he would go as far as he is going to destroy what he feels rejected him. And that's just the bottom line with him, okay? He feels that the American public rejected him. He feels that the GOP rejected him. And he is out to get them. Bottom line, plain and simple. Okay, so it looks like justice is coming. It looks like it's maybe slow. It looks like some of it's going to be a little delayed or longer than we would like. But it feels very much like when things actually start coming together, it's going to be explosive. It's not going to be a Matt Gaetz only. It's going to be him and, 5 other people, 10 other people. It feels like the people who are pushing back against the Senate investigations or the Select Committee investigations, they can delay it, but they can't stop it. And in fact, I think that there's going to be some real hardball playing so that even it's really uncomfortable for them to delay things. We shall see how that unfolds. And I don't know, maybe sometimes in the next few weeks, just maybe somebody could inform Trump that he actually doesn't have any executive privilege right now, and so he can't keep claiming it, and he can't threaten to go to court with it because he just doesn't have it. It's no more. When he got on that helicopter for the last time, he left it in the office. Okay. So It's the weekend. Have a good one. Take some time. It's lovely weather. I hope it is where you are. We're definitely moving into the autumn season. You know, the leaves are changing. Things are getting a little crisper in the morning. Take some time. Rejuvenate yourself. You know, pull back. Watch a good movie. Dance with your spouse. You know, go get an ice cream cone. Whatever it is, take some time for just for you, and enjoy the weekend. And as I said, next week, if something really crazy happens, I will get on it and release a video. But if not, I will see you a week from this Tuesday. Until next time, take care. Be well. Bye-bye.